Howdy all, and welcome back to another episode of the Sanctified Podcast, the show where we explore the stories of various saints throughout history and learn about what they did and how we came to recognize them as saints today. Today, we're going to explore the life of Saint Peter Chrysologus, one of the greatest orators and homily writers the Church has ever known. Peter was born in the year 380 in Imola, Italy, and from a young age, he was educated and trained by Bishop Cornelius of Imola. We don't really have too many details about his young life, but we know when he grew up, he was ordained as a deacon by Bishop Cornelius. And after serving as deacon for a little while, he was made archdeacon by Emperor Valentinian III. Later on, in 433, Pope Sixtus III appointed Peter as Bishop of Ravenna. Now, some records indicate that Ravenna actually elected somebody else to be their bishop, but that person was rejected by Pope Sixtus III, and he chose Peter instead. The reason that he did this is because Pope Sixtus had a vision from Peter the Apostle, revealing Peter Chrysologus as the next bishop of Ravenna. The thing was, Pope Sixtus hadn't met Peter yet. He didn't really know who he was. He just saw a face in a vision, basically. Now, it just so happened that Bishop Cornelius was already on his way to the Vatican with Peter to help pick the new bishop for Ravenna. Once they arrived, both Cornelius and Peter, Sixtus immediately recognized Peter as the person from his vision, and it was pretty much decided then and there, because you're not going to deny a vision from Peter the Apostle. Peter had already begun to build his reputation as an impressive speaker from his passionate and inspiring sermons, and later on he had earned the title Doctor of Homilies, and he was given the name Chrysologus, meaning golden worded. Peter's sermons and homilies were very brief but very powerful. He was concerned that if they were too long, people would lose interest and get distracted. And I must admit, sometimes homilies can feel a little long-winded, so I would appreciate his attention to this little detail if I was listening to his homilies. Now, also around this time, a movement called Monophysitism began to rise in the early 5th century, and a monk from Constantinople named Eutyches was spearheading it. This movement was focused on Christ losing all human nature as he ascended into heaven and becoming solely a divine entity. The problem with that is that it diminishes the meaning of everything that Jesus did when he was human. We know that Jesus was human and not always entirely divine. He suffered, he lived with struggles, and he died for everyone. So to say that he has no humanity is like saying that after a beloved pet dies or a family member dies, all the memories we made with them are meaningless. I don't know about you, but I certainly know my memories of those are not meaningless. And we all know that Christ's sufferings are absolutely not meaningless. Back to Eutyches, though. The Pope encouraged Eutyches to reconsider what he was saying and think about it for a little bit. But Eutyches wouldn't relent. Peter started getting involved too. He was a strong opponent to this movement, and his homilies, sermons, and letters are proof of this. A synod convened in 448 and condemned Eutyches for his movement. But Eutyches didn't give up. He actually asked for Peter's support, but Peter wouldn't support this movement. And a letter from Peter to Eutyches was referenced in the Acts of the Council of Chalcedon in 451, and this demonstrated very clearly that Peter would not support what Eutyches was trying to teach. Peter's letters and works set the foundation on how priests, deacons, and ordinary people can live more fulfilling lives in the eyes of God, and it did not align with what Eutyches was trying to teach. Peter's writings are a fantastic guiding source for people who just want to live a more fulfilling life in service to God. They give you guidance on just the simple things in life. You don't have to be tremendously wealthy and charitable to be successful. You don't have to be incredibly devoted. It's just little things that you do can make an enormous difference, a difference that most people don't even realize. Peter's recorded sermons, and recorded as in written down, not like an audible recording, because remember, this is in the 5th century, but the records show that they offer an invaluable glimpse into the life of 5th century Christianity, in Ravenna at least. And Peter was a strong supporter of receiving the Eucharist daily and partaking in confession regularly. Some of his surviving works show his devotion to Mary's perpetual virginity, the penitential value of Lent, the presence of Christ in the Eucharist, and the primacy of everyone. There's a total of 176 of Peter's homilies recorded today, all of them carefully preserved by Archbishop Felix of Ravenna over the course of the 8th century. Since then, Peter's homilies have been translated into multiple languages for people to read and study all over the world today. Sadly, during a visit to his hometown around 450, Peter passed away. Early records say that he died on December 2nd, but more recently, a discovered piece of evidence arose in Liber Pontificalis Ecclesiae Ravennatis, and that suggests that he actually died July 31st. Now, originally when Peter was declared a doctor of the church by Pope Benedict XIII in 1729, his feast day was December 4th. But in 1969, it was changed to July 30th to be closer to the day of his death. The actual day, July 31st, wasn't used because it was already the feast day of Ignatius of Loyola. Now, I want to give you an idea of how Peter's homilies went, so I have a little excerpt from one of them. Now, understand that I probably won't do it justice because being a really gifted speaker makes an enormous difference, and I'm just a dude sharing a story. Nonetheless, I want you to try to listen to the words that he says and just take them in, process them. There's a lot of content in this one little paragraph. Peter Chrysologus said, "The apostle says, I appeal to you by the mercy of God to present your bodies as a living sacrifice. Brethren, the sacrifice follows the pattern of Christ's sacrifice, by which he gave his body as a living immolation for the life of the world. He really made his body a living sacrifice, because, though slain, he continues to live. In such a victim, death receives its ransom. But the victim remains alive. Death itself suffers the punishment. This is why death for the martyrs is actually a birth, and their end a beginning. Their execution is the door to life, and those who were thought to have been blotted out from the earth shine brightly in heaven." I just want to let that soak in for a bit. That's a really heavy paragraph. It says so much in just a handful of words. And there's almost 200 other homilies from Peter. So if you're really interested in this, I'm sure they are online for reading. There's probably recordings of them, and you can listen to them while you're doing some chores, cooking dinner, just relaxing and driving home from work. I will probably look up some myself to listen to a little more because it's pretty inspiring stuff. Now, this is a little bit of a shorter episode. There's not a whole lot known about Peter's life. We just have a lot of his writings left behind, which is a tremendous gift to us today. Peter is the patron saint of Imola, Italy, because that's where he was from. He's also the patron saint of homilies and homily writers because, that's what he's known for. He's the golden worded man, so it makes sense that he would be the patron saint for homily writers. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I will do my best to answer them. So what are your thoughts on Saint Peter Chrysologus? Have you heard any of his homilies? I hope you found his stories interesting, and if you have listened to any of his homilies, please let me know below and share your thoughts. I look forward to learning about what you think about St. Peter's life or his homilies. And thanks for listening. If you'd like to support the channel, you can subscribe, download the episode, like, comment, share with your friends, or send me a suggestion on a saint that I can check out by emailing me at sanctifiedpodcast@proton.me. You can find the show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Podbean, and more. Just search for the Sanctified Podcast on whatever service you listen on. I should have some episodes uploaded there. Take care and have a wonderful day.